Let's get this. Look at how gross that is. How did that even happen? How do you get filth all the way down in here? Oh, that is gritty. I'm holding a copy of a revolutionary Super Nintendo game, Donkey Kong Country. This game blew us all away when it came out because it looked like nothing we had ever seen. Well, this cartridge looks like nothing I have ever seen because it is absolutely disgustingly filthy. In fact, I'm feeling a little ill as I sit here holding it, so I'm going to put it down now. Gross. But with a little work and a lot of rubbing alcohol, I'm certain I can get this crusty DKC cart back to form without going too bananas. Dad joke. Donkey Kong Country came out back in 1994 and was a huge success for Nintendo. The graphics were all done on Silicon graphics workstations, which were essentially giant, absurdly expensive computers whose sole purpose was to just make computer graphics.
For the first time, you can work with a computing tool that deals with the world of the mechanical engineer, the three-dimensional world of real objects in real time.
The Super NES was nowhere near powerful enough to generate Donkey Kong Country's graphics on the fly, but developer Rare developed a process to take those high-quality renders and compress them to live happily inside the Super NES's limitations. Nowadays, we don't really think about graphics the same we did back then. All those polygons in modern games are basically being drawn in real time by the console or PC. In 1994, however, Donkey Kong Country's pre-rendered CGI sprites were a revolution in 16-bit graphics. In fact, the technique would be used in other games like Rare's Killer Instinct, Super Mario RPG, and the Japan-only Treasure Hunter G. Oh, and it's also important to note that the same year Donkey Kong Country came out, the Super NES was facing new competition from a machine capable of generating 3D polygons, Sony's original PlayStation. The game is pretty standard for the era with some tough and occasionally unfair level design, but damn if everyone didn't rush out to buy a copy. It also has one of the greatest lo-fi video game tracks of all time by way of aquatic ambience. Its success spawned 2 Super NES sequels and one of my all-time favorite Nintendo 64 games, Donkey Kong 64. And we're still getting Donkey Kong games in the modern era, now with funky mode.
With his wraparound sunglasses, belt-fastened jorts, tank top, and bandana, Funky is the cool uncle who knows a lot about living and a little about love.
This particular copy of Donkey Kong Country was purchased from an online auction site, and my winning bid came in lower than the average price, and for good reason. Everyone else who looked at this filthy cartridge said, "It's super gross. I don't want to touch my eyes and get some strange infection." First and foremost, a toothbrush. You can get one of these for free at most dentists, or you can just go to the store and buy one. Get a soft bristled one, that way you're not prone to do any sort of damage. Gives you another excuse to go to the dentist. Toothpicks. Why do you want a toothpick? Well, first of all, pop it in your mouth. You look like kind of like a tough guy. Do one of these. That's stupid. Isopropyl alcohol, but we're gonna be using it to help remove filth from Donkey Kong Country today. Little emery board. This is a 3-sided emery board. It's got different grits of sandpaper on there, and I use this for cleaning contacts. A magic eraser. If you don't have one of these, use a magic eraser. The other good thing about the magic eraser is actually we can use this on the surface of the plastic as well, but it can do a pretty good job cleaning up and polishing contacts sometimes. It all depends on what level of corrosion is on there. Paper towels, you just need them. This little guy, this is a special little screwdriver for removing the tamper-proof screws from the cartridge itself. I'm putting on gloves because of how filthy this is. It's super gross. I don't want to touch my eyes and get some strange infection after working with this. So the first thing we're gonna do, 1, 2, there's just 2 little screws on there. That's all there is to it. Let's get this, look at how gross that is. How did that even happen? How do you get filth all the way down in here? This is the part that's supposed to be tucked away and hidden inside the, whatever. Oh, that is gritty. All right, let's open it up and have a look inside. Oh, how do you get filth inside of the cartridge? Somebody was chewing on this. We can see that the contacts are kind of cruddy. Those are gonna need to be, they're gonna really need a good polishing. Let's see how they look on the other side. Yeah, those are gonna need a little bit of attention. Oh look, I forgot, Donkey Kong Country has a battery backup. All right, we're gonna put this circuit board away for now, and we're gonna focus on the two halves that make a whole here, because just look at how filthy and disgusting they are. Like, ugh. Now this is a bummer. I actually don't have a way to repair this back label that doesn't involve printing out a new one. And the same with the front one. It has some obvious signs of wear. No tears in it, thankfully. But I don't have a good method for repairing the stickers that are on there that doesn't involve printing out a new sticker, which isn't ideal, because then basically you replaced it, and some people don't like that. It's like in the world of antiques, where if you have two pieces that aren't original to one another that are connected, they'll say, well, those are married pieces, and we don't want to marry a sticker to another cartridge. That goes against nature. Okay, so let's just get right into it right now. I'm gonna give it a little dunkaroo in there. I'm just gonna start working on this surface filth. So much grosser than, oh my God. That's like spit and boogers. Oh God, it's so gross. Honestly, if I didn't care about preserving the stickers, oh my God, look at how gross that is. Right now, we're just trying to get the big chunky grody boys off. The stuff that doesn't come off easily, we're gonna go to the next level, which is gonna involve a toothpick, a little bit of scraping. You generally don't have to worry too much about these stickers coming off. They're pretty rugged stickers. You know, they're like professional grade sort of vinyl stickers that are just designed to adhere forever. I just thought this was gonna be really easy, and this is actually really, really gross, and it is taking much longer than I thought when I originally pitched the idea for this episode. Shout out to Nick for cutting this down into a bite-sized chunk for your enjoyment. This side's looking pretty good. There's still some filth right there. So what I'm gonna do is give it a taste of the old. Hey man, that is pretty gross. I'm not a squeamish person, but this is just bumming me out. It's already looking just much, much better than it did. Oh right, we have to get into the goopy guts here. So we're gonna put a little bit on it. And don't worry if you spill some, because it's alcohol. It just evaporates into the air. Look at that. That works amazingly well. That is actually looking pretty good. I'm sad to say that the label is curling a little bit from too much alcohol on there. That is unfortunate, so be on the lookout. Don't spill 5 gallons like I just did. All right, we're gonna put this guy over here, let him dry, and we're gonna get into this one. I am pretty satisfied with how this turned out, actually. Let's give this thing a little bit of love. We're gonna just give these a quick little polish. This is the absolute finest. This is like 3200 grit, so it just feels smooth. And you don't wanna use too much more than that. Like, you don't wanna use like a 60 grit, because that will make a big old mess and it will ruin everything. Well, it's hard to tell because there's already a lot of filth on here from other games that I've cleaned on my own time. Wow, it's magical. Look at that. Huh? Well, we're not gonna mess with the battery. Not this episode, at least. That'll be a future episode, and that requires some soldering or desoldering and some resoldering. And we're not gonna mess with that. And besides, I'm pretty sure this battery actually still works. In fact, let's find out for sure. So we put our Fluke multimeter, or any multimeter for that matter, into DC, and we'll see if this has any voltage left 30 years later. and it does not have it. So that's an episode for another day. Let's put it back together. Get all my tools out of the way. Throw these in the trash can. I actually hit it that time. All right, let's put this little fella back together, this funky little creature. Get the clips in, line them up. Man, that looks really good. I mean, there's a little bit of discoloration between the two sides, and that's not necessarily indicative of anything. A lot of people say, oh, it's cigarette smoking is what caused it, but it's just the chemical composition of the plastics is slightly different on some of them. That's why some Super NESs are yellowed. That's why some cartridges are yellowed. Sun can, make it worse, but basically some of them are gonna yellow and some of them aren't. And it's kind of a luck of the draw. There it is. My God, what a difference. Well, friends, we did it. We have rescued this copy of Donkey Kong Country from oblivion. It looks fresh. It smells fresh. Does it taste fresh? I'm not gonna find out. That's actually disgusting. I have changed my clothes. I took the shirt that I was wearing and I threw it into a furnace. Also, that's not true. I just put it in the washing machine. Hey, I'm Seth Macy, and I just want to take this moment to say how much I appreciate you for hanging out while I rescued this old, nasty Super Nintendo cartridge. If you have some old, nasty cartridges at home, you can clean them yourself. It's not really that hard. I'm making this up as I go along. It's not entirely true, but I am not a trained professional. I'm just some guy who likes to help out. Anyway, if you like retro tech, make sure to follow This Old Tech on Instagram. This_old_tech. And for even more retro repair goodness, make sure to check out our video where I rescue an NES by boiling its 72-pin connector. And for everything else, keep it right here on IGN. Why would you go anywhere else?